G'day humans, Chris out here. Today I'm at the St Regis Maldives Resort, and in this video I'm going to give you a full review and a full tour of everything to expect in this beautiful, beautiful little piece of paradise. I just want to preface something at the very start of this review, and that's that it took me a little while to kind of understand the St Regis Maldives. And potentially the brand as a whole, I don't know. This is the only St Regis I've stayed at. But at first, it didn't have that knockout factor that I was expecting when I got here, right? I was expecting to get blown away instantly. And so I want, as you go through this review and you listen to my pros and cons, all of which I stand by, you know, there are definitely negatives and there are definitely positives. The negatives are very tangible. You know, the issues with some of the build quality, the things you can touch and feel and see. But the overriding positive here of the St Regis Maldives is actually its soul, and it's not particularly tangible. And I'll speak a bit in this review about the intimacy and the warmth of this small island and this small amount of people that are here enjoying this moment in paradise with you. And I think it's important to keep that in mind through this review, that while there's definitely positives and negatives to the tangible things that you will come across here in this resort, the overriding positive is just that sense of warmth and companionship that you get from talking to the chefs one-on-one, from the experience you have from your butler. It's very personalised. You feel like you're having this one-on-one interaction. You're always sitting around people that you instantly recognise because there's only so few people here relatively. You know, that you constantly come across the same people and experiencing that same moment in time with other people. So I want you to keep that in mind, because there's a soul to St Regis, and the soul is actually the most luxury experience of it all, more so than the actual tangible things. You know, and last night was my last night here, well, obviously the last night I had here. And I'm about to go on a plane and leave right now. The most magnificent sunset. And I'm sitting on the beach and I've just been talking to this person who works here and that person who works here and this person who I've seen at 5 different dinners, and you know, and watching this sunset together over this magnificent pool and this magnificent beach and this unbelievable reef that's just teeming with life. And over this wharf bar, there's just this architectural marvel that just yawns out into the ocean, and I was sitting there going, all right, I think I'll finally get it. And it took me a couple of days to really understand that this place is selling itself on its soul. So look, let's dive into the full review. But I shot the review kind of like, and I realised as I shot the review I was really focused on that tangible side of things. And I thought it was important just to note, as I go through the pros and cons of this experience, that there's this underlying, you know, warmth to the St Regis Maldives and the people that are here, either as guests or as hosts, that really makes the experience. So right now I'm standing exactly where you'll land on your seaplane. So you get here by seaplane. So that's one of the, I guess, positives and negatives about the place. The negative is that it's going to cost you a bit more to get here because you've got to go on a seaplane. You can't just do a transfer by boat. But the positive is it means you're more isolated, you're further away from everyone, it's a bit more private. Now over here you're going to see a little landing spot down there. That's where your seaplane's going to roll straight in. So sometimes at these resorts the seaplane will land like further out there somewhere and you're going to transfer in, not here. But it was really kind of cool, the seaplane as it came in. I mean, the seaplane itself is an adventure, right? But when it came in, it literally came in low and then flew right around the island, banked all the way around the island, gave you this kind of really cool view of everything you're about to experience before you landed. I really enjoyed it. And it kind of landed on this side of the island. Now you get off, it's all very White Lotusy. You know, lots of people there know your name. They're all waving, saying hello, making you feel very welcome. Big coconut drink as soon as you get in. All that kind of stuff. It helps make that stay really special, really luxurious. Now it's a very interesting resort, this one. You know, it's obviously the St Regis. St Regis is a very, very big name. It's a very, very luxury orientated name. And there's a special certain expectation when you come to a place that says St Regis on it. Now I had not stayed at one before and I didn't know exactly what to expect. And it's definitely hit the mark in some places, but in other places I've been surprised. You know, where it goes with its decor and finishes and stuff wasn't what I was expecting, but we'll get right into that. So it's a man-made, sorry, this is not a man-made island. So there are some and a growing number of man-made islands in the Maldives that are popping up everywhere. This is not the case here. This is a natural island, and it definitely makes a difference as we're going to go through. So anyway, let's jump on the bike. I'm going to ride. Oh, look at that! It's got some new arrivals. Perfect timing. All right, let's go on the bike and do a tour. So over there is your little intro booth where you kind of sit in the shade when you first get here. We'll get out of the way of that landing. Kind of interesting timing, kind of perfect in a way. So as you can see straight away, nice, beautiful beaches. It's a peach of a day, this one. Really, really lovely. Probably about 31, 32 degrees, small breeze. The water's giving that lovely Maldivian blue to it. Very, very cool. So one of the huge positives, like I said, about this island is it's out of the way. It's a while to get to. It's private. It feels very, very private. And it's small and easy to get about. Now I can't underestimate this too much for you because on all the islands you can be riding a long way to get from A to B. Here, as you'll see, everything's really easy to get to, and that makes it, just means you spend more time actually enjoying stuff and less time getting from A to B. They will give you bikes, as you can see, but you can get buggies everywhere as well. So here is the Orientale, I don't know how you pronounce it, but this is where you're going to find some Chinese food. There's also a Japanese teppanyaki. So that's what you're going to find in there. Let's go have a look. Okay, back on the road. So the thing about being a natural island is you get all this wonderful greenery, big thick jungle canopy. And it creates an instant sense of coolness when you get in here. I mean, it's humid, you can't get away from the humidity, but at least you don't get that intense heat. And that's, you know, can't be underestimated. It's really, really very good. And I've seen that on a lot of the islands which are like not man-made, is you get that experience. So in here is the drawing room. So this is a room they've set up basically for people to hang out if they've got to check out of their room, but their seaplane transfer hasn't come yet. So you get this huge space, so showers and things to do and everything like that's catered. So that's like a really nice touch if you're not coming straight from your room to your transfer. All right, now down here we have the Iridium Spa. And this is the first, I'd like to talk a little bit about the architecture here. So it's very, very interesting what they've done in a lot of the places. There's really nice touches in the design in a lot of places. And you can really see it from the air. But just these lovely little domes, and I'll talk to you about a few of the finishes. There's a yoga hut down there. They do sunrise yoga. So the sunrise is right kind of ahead of us here. And down here is the spa, which has, other than your typical spa treatments, the blue hole experience, which is pretty special. But also the design of it is shaped basically like a giant lobster. So when you kind of, it's kind of like these pincers that come out on either side, and this big lobster head that goes out to the blue hole experience. Very, very cool. Let's go take a closer look. Hopefully I don't stack it on this adventure. Now, I think it goes without saying that the staff have been really quite nice, casual. Had some really good chats with a lot of them, but always on hand. For anything that you want, basically, to ridiculous hours, like 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. or something. Ridiculous hour. Personal. They call him a butler. I hate the term. Just, to me, just says something other than the way that our relationship is. Anyway, here's the Knickerbocker Villa. Now, that's where I'm actually staying. It was a fluky upgrade. So we'll dive into that in a sec. We're going to the tour, and I'm going to finish off in a room there. I'm going to do a lap of the island. So down there we have the supply jetty. That's not such a great piece of the resort. A lot of contractors come in there and they're loud and they make a bit of a mess. They're like on the one dowel point. I don't know what you can do about it. You need them. So you're just gonna have to put up with it, I guess. And here's the dive centre. This is where you're gonna do all your water sports. So like all your non-motorised is complimentary. All your motorised costs a fee. There's guided snorkel tours from here. Sunset dolphin tour from here. Let's dive in and have a closer look at what the dive centre offers. Okay, so all the staff stay on the island here, which I think is good. And they definitely, I was speaking to various staff members, they consider themselves family. And they're all in the middle of here. You don't hear a peep out of them, you wouldn't even know they were there. And then we've got this little fine jewellery shop over on this side, Ivar. Then on this side we start having the 2-bedroom family villas. Now I have done a tour of these, which I'll show you a bit later in this video. but they've all been designed to look like the original kind of Maldivian fishing ships that used to come through here. So that's where the architectural inspiration comes from them. And it's a very unique look. Kind of like the sharp angle on one side and open on the other. I really like it. It's very cool. And there's quite a few of these along here. So you've got some that are kind of beachy. They're a little bit over water. They're kind of on the beach. Here's some over water ones further down. On the inside in here, you've got the most private buildings in the whole place. So these are the internal villas. So you still, they're the same experience as say the beach villas, from what I can see. So big, tall roofed, pool out the front, but they're behind this wall. They're kind of gated off from everyone else. You can't see in from anywhere. It's very much more private experience for people who want that. That is where you get it. So a bit different every single season, I guess, and conditions, but one of the cool things about these overwater villas over here is that there's been some decent, like foot and a half of waves just kind of rolling in ever since we got here, making this amazing sound, really giving you that overwater experience. Which you can see, if I don't stack it, yeah, kind of rolling in here under the palm trees. Yeah, so let's get a better look at the same. So same design as those ones I showed you before, but these ones are like right over the water. And like I said, I have done a tour of those, I have filmed it, so we'll jump into that. Brakes don't work on this bike, by the way, so just to add to the levels of difficulty here. All right, so that's the way that we're going to go in a sec, but I just want to show you down here, because in here is the library, which is this awesome like conical shell shape all the way up. It's beautiful inside. Let's go take a look. Okay, so now we're getting around to the main kind of, I guess, social areas. And that kind of intimacy that I was talking about, because it's a small island, so I think maximum start, like they said, you're usually going to find about somewhere between 100 and 150 guests here. If it gets crazy, about 200, if everyone takes an extra room, you know. Sorry, an extra bed in their room. And that kind of creates a warmth, and you get to see everyone all the time. There's a whole bunch of people going for looks like a snorkel or something. So here's the Cargo. So Cargo is a really interesting restaurant where the actual kitchen is built out of a piece of cargo that fell off the Titanic. Hence the name Cargo. But it's also interesting that the guy who founded the St Regis was on the Titanic and didn't make it. So extra piece of brand coolness there. Let's go have a look. Now our next stop down here is your kids centre. So again, big on the architecture, big on the design, and the kids have spent a lot of time down here. Very cool in the middle of the jungle. So let's go have a look at this rather cool place, which is named after the island, Vommuli. Or maybe it's the atoll, Vommuli house. Let's go have a look. All right, now directly opposite that, very handily, because the kids club's right next to the kind of main space, we have, I might ditch the bike for this. One thing they do have is a lot of thick sand, which is nice, except that it makes it a little hard to ride. And strangely, I went up this ladder, there's nothing up there. It's just a big open space. I don't know if they'd ever do anything up there, but the stairs were kind of falling apart. There's a few places around here you'll notice things do need a bit of maintenance. It's one of the curiosities. Like, it's super luxe, there's no doubt about it. But then around the edges, there's definitely some work that needs to be done. I think maybe it's really affected by the elements. I don't know if they use these kind of like European design philosophies, but they don't really work in paradise. See out there, for example, the roof, like the door's just swollen, so now it's hitting the roof and scratched it. I've noticed that with the doors in the house as well, which I'll show you later on. But anyway, that's your main restaurant. That's where you're gonna have your breakfasts. You can have lunches in there as well. It's great. One of the awesome things that they do here is that breakfast includes, for everyone, well I guess everyone on full board, includes Bloody Marys, mimosas and champagne. So you can come down here in the morning and have a couple of drinks to start your day off, which is, quite frankly, maybe it's the Australian in me, but it's the best way to start a day. Definitely makes you feel instantly like you're on holiday. But there's plenty to eat, plenty of great options. Food quality is excellent. Here's this big giant main pool, right? So this space out here is lovely. Really good, some hammocks over there in the trees. This big huge pool, these little jets coming out of it in places. Lots of places to sit, the towels, it's right next to the food. And then out there, they've got an extraordinary bar called the Whale Bar. And it's just a marvel to walk in and walk through. It's just so wonderfully designed, and it faces directly into the sunset. And you can go out there, there's a champagne ceremony every evening, and like a bit of a DJ set, and some cocktails flow. It's a great place to kind of end your evening, and you kind of look out there at the big sunset. But it's just a beautifully designed, thoughtful statement piece that I've got a lot of respect and admiration for. They've done a great job there. And there's another restaurant in here called something and Crust, Crab and Crust maybe. And it's another place where you can just eat, but it's a little less pompous than in there where it's all like, you know, not collared shirts, but you know, a little bit finer. Where over here you can get away your swimwear or whatever, and it's a much smaller menu, but it's still really nicely done. Obviously all your drinks and everything like that, you can place your hammocks through there. So that's so you kind of got your main beach here, and as you can see, it's like not massive, but it's not a lot of people, so it does well. And everyone's got their bikes down here. And there's a little boutique shop in here. And if you walk up to the third story, so in there you know your sun cream and everything like that, as well as like rash vests and anything else you might need. If you go a little bit further up, there's a hell of a view from up there. Just beautifully framed, kind of, I don't know, more than 180, maybe 200, 270 degree. Oh, probably not 270, it's going a bit far, but yeah, a little degree view out over everything they've got to offer on this main beach, which is definitely something to go and see. Yeah, very loose sand. Makes it very hard to pedal. That's probably, I guess, one of the side effects of having a natural island. I'd rather have the natural island, I guess. So that circles back around there towards where we started and the beach villas. I'll take you out to the overwaters, which have sunrise and sunset faces, facing the villas. There's a nice little wedge in here, by the way. I mean, it's not very big, but the kids are having heaps of fun just kind of jumping in these waves. And over there, there's what looks like some pretty good surf, but I haven't been game enough to paddle over there. It's got some new wild currents running through it. You can see it just kind of cross-waving a bit. Very interesting, most of the swell seems to come front onto the island and wraps both ways, so you get waves kind of colliding into each other, look, going both ways. Very interesting. Okay, so pretty much all these overwater villas are the same. Here's it's cool sculpture, I really like it. It's got a 3D effect, so whichever side you look at it, kind of feels 3D. Hey mate, just to give you an idea, they're all pretty much exactly identical, 1 bedrooms. Again, I have gone in, I have filmed this. I should talk about the house reef. So you can just swim off here, not very far, like 10 metres, and it just drops off the atoll, and it's just filled with fish, stingrays, sharks, all the good stuff. How cool are these buggies, by the way? Oh, the little Ritz-Carlton, sorry, I just said the little St Regis logo on the front. Yeah, and especially off the grand villa at the very end, which I'll show you in a sec, which is where all the super celebs stay, which has its own gym, its own spa, its own, 5 bedrooms, I think they said. I asked, what are all the bedrooms for? And they go, that's for the cook, their personal cook, and their nanny, and all the extras that come when you're that loaded. I do not have any of those, and if I dare call my wife any of those things, I get walloped across the head, very deservingly so. So there's this interesting space in the middle here which they aren't currently using, and I couldn't quite work out why. So it's all fenced off. It looks like it's a swimming spot, there's hammocks over it. I'll see if I can find more information about that, and I'll leave it in the comments. But there's a couple of people snorkeling down there at the moment. But yeah, apparently off the end of this in particular, it's the best snorkeling. But we just went snorkeling off the dive centre, and it was fantastic. Saw a huge barracuda came right up to us. It was awesome. But that's the John Jacob Astor estate. Epic. Yeah, and then the water villas then head off that way as well. So see the waves breaking up there. So it's not kind of like a long reef in front of the water villas. It's pretty much just like you jump off. There's a little bit of space to see and do things, but the beach kind of seems to be the most popular go for people. It has been quite windy while we've been here. Today's a bit better. And being such a small island, there's only a few places you can kind of go to escape it. But really the breeze is kind of your best friend anyway, because it's so damn hot. You can see here, so there's quite a bit of maintenance going on, I think, in bits and pieces. I don't know if it's a post-COVID thing, because the Maldives stayed open during COVID for the most part, so I don't know how Bali tourism was affected compared to other parts of the world. They do seem to be, fixing things here and there. And again, as I was talking to you before, like this shingle look is awesome, but there's so many places where the shingles are kind of falling off. So I do feel like potentially they went for this wicked, awesome design that's very appealing to Europeans, potentially, maybe the Chinese. It's very exotic, but maybe not the best for the climate. That's just my 2 cents. Because everything has a luxury vent to it, but then just on the edges, everything's kind of struggling a little bit. So just interesting. It hasn't affected our stay. But definitely, if you're looking for a super modern villa and a super modern experience inside, where it's all pristine and white and very light, this isn't that type of place. Here's that statue again. And there's that whale bar. How good is it? So good. A masterpiece. And you can see over here, this is the beach villa side of the island, where got a little more sand to play with. You've got this little break wall that they've built in to try and prevent the sand from eroding. And so I think the beach villa actually would be quite appealing to a lot of people in this particular resort. I mean, the Overwater is the one you want, I guess, because it's the dream, it's the picture in your mind, it's the exotic, and it's awesome. And don't get me wrong, the beach villas are fantastic. Sorry, the Overwater villas are fantastic, but the beach villas here probably have a nicer swim in front of them, and obviously they're very central. You can hear the beach villas here. So these are all 1 bedroom. So 1 bedroom on this side, 2 bedroom on the other side. And then you can go through there to get to the kids club. There's also an organic garden in there where you're going to see some of the stuff that they then put on your plate later in the day. And I do love riding on these sandy roads. A shortcut through the island there. There's one of the estates down there. So it's similar to the one that we're staying in. So we're in a 2-bedroom, there's another 2-bedroom, and there's a 3-bedroom as well. But I'll show you that in a sec. I just want to ride round to where my villa is, or where we started, so you can basically get a feel for how big the island is. That's the staff quarters there that we're already coming back around again. So as you can see, I don't know how big the loop is, but it couldn't be much longer than a kilometre. A lot of people have been jogging it as exercise. There is a gym as well, which is in the Vommuli house. Which I'm sure, that's reception. That's reception, by the way. Not that I've ever had a need to go there. Right, and that's where we came in. That's the Seaplane launch place. So yeah, there is a gym as well. Very strange gym, actually, super strange gym. Just with the plant life in the middle, it's kind of cool, but it kind of also impacts the space for stretching and all that kind of stuff. All right, here we go. Let's jump in and have a look at Knickerbocker Villa. All right, so here we are in the room that I'm staying in with my family, which is the Knickerbocker Villa. Now, it's interesting how we ended up here, because we weren't supposed to be in this room. We're supposed to be in one of the 2-bedroom Overwater villas. But just before we got here, something went wrong and they needed to do some maintenance on it, so they upgraded us to the Knickerbocker Villa. Now the Knickerbocker Villa is one of 3 premium family suites that are around the island, but obviously not the type of stay that most people are probably going to stay in. They're probably going to stay in Overwater villas, or in the 2-bedroom beach villas, or the 2-bedroom Overwater villas. So I have gone through and I have done filming of those alternative accommodation options, so I will take you through that after this, but this is the one we actually slept in. So even though it's the one you're probably not going to end up being in, a lot of the finishings, a lot of the way it's built, a lot of the design elements are definitely the same between all of the rooms. So I'm going to take you through a tour of what we experienced here. And so as you come into our estate, you should be able to see as soon as you walk in the opulence of it. So obviously this is trying to be something bigger and better than the standard villas, and it certainly is. Now as you walk through the main entrance here, you're going to notice quite a loud sound. That's the air conditioning. So I wanted to bring this up because even though it's really loud, it's all at the back end of this villa, which is great, because basically even though it's making a hell of a lot of noise as it's trying to keep this in huge space really cool, and it does a fantastic job, you can't hear it. And that's really important. I love the fact that they've thought about that in the design. So you've got a little bike rack out the side here. All the villas have these, and you'll all get supplied with bikes. They've got kids-sized bikes, and they've got adult-sized bikes, easily adjustable seating. So it's quite easy to get it to where you want to. Although it's a very small island anyway, you can walk everywhere you want to, even though you can, we've been using the bikes. So come in. Love the welcome mat. You know, and this is a place that's very strong on its brand. Brand is a big part of the story here. So you probably already realised just walking in here, just the sense of scale in this villa. Now, all the colour schemes, the artistry, the kind of thick black metal, stone, all that kind of stuff is consistent across all the villas. So this is the look they're going for. And it's a very interesting option for 2024. This was built in 2016, so not old ago. not that long ago, but it's a very kind of European feel in my opinion. It's not kind of on that modern tip that we see in Australia where it's a lot more whites, very non-obvious materials, that kind of thing. This is very much more darker colours, thicker metals, thicker materials. So it's a very different feel. And that just simply might not be your taste. I don't think it's necessarily positive or negative, it's just what you're up for. But the overall feeling is of something that's a little bit more, not rustic, but just a little bit more European, a little less modern in feel. But still, as you can see, so much space. So into the main living space here. And we've got a little kind of like library study, reading, hanging out nook over the side here. You'll see on all these little bits of artwork all over the place. Now I was speaking to some of this management staff here and they were telling me this is all built out of recycled material. So it's all, sorry, the recycled stuff that's washed up on the shore and turned it into art, which I think is really cool. A couple of books. The Atlas is really cool. Now over here on this side, we've got a bit of a kitchen area. So quite a large bench space, full pantry. Now, in this particular resort, it's different in every particular resort. In this particular resort, all you've got is your coffees and your water and your tea. That's the only thing that's complimentary here. Everything else is going to cost you extra. So soft drinks, even if you're on full board or anything like that, which is a bit weird to me. If you're on full board, why isn't it included? Like I can have them as much as I want when I go to the meals, but I can't have the Sprite out of there. So it's a little bit weird and it's a bit difficult with the kids. Some food options up here, all of this stuff, it's all extra. But they've got the coffee, you've got a little Nespresso machine here. There's actually, if you come around here, if you have a look around this side, we've actually got like pull-out fridges and enough stuff to really settle in here for a while if you want to live here for like a month or something. There's even an ice making machine, a permanent ice making machine over here that we have to turn off because it was so loud and we didn't need the ice. Making ice, and in here, like a whole little separate kind of kitchen with stove, oven, microwave, fridge, everything. So I don't, you know, for the vast majority of people that are just coming here for a bit of a holiday and eating at the restaurants, I don't know what you would use this for. Potentially you'd have guests staying here where they cook stuff in-house. I think that's potentially what it's for. People, potentially celebrities, something like that, who don't want to be in a public space. And if we come through here, this big open room. So everything is kind of operated through an iPad. So there's pros and cons to that. So the first night we got here and all the lights, all the blinds, the TV, everything is working through the iPad. And we spent a lot of time trying to work out how to turn the lights off and everything like that. There are manual switches here and there. It's a bit hard to work out. Once you get your mind around it, it's all right. But they've got sound system built into the TV here. They've got a couple of local channels. The reception has been good on the local channels, like a couple of movie channels, a lot of sport channels, some news channels, but you can just go onto the internet TV and YouTube and Netflix, that type of thing, or sync your own device to it as well if you want to have a experience watching a TV. I will say that the internet at the St Regis is very poor. It's about 5 megabits a second is going to be your standard internet rate, which is enough to check emails but not much else. I was trying to browse around websites, I couldn't actually do it. I ended up getting in touch with them and I ended up bumping it up to 10, which was enough for me to do a little bit of work. But yeah, the internet is consistent around the resort, just not very fast. Something to keep in mind if you're planning on doing any work here. I brought it up when they said to me, oh look, you know, most of our guests don't care because they're not here to do any work. And okay, you know, that's you probably don't want to come here to work. But that was my experience with it all. So yeah, nice high roof, good aircon vents up here, like I said, keeps the place very, very cool. One of the interesting things about this entire build is it's so ornate and it's so massive. Got this huge chandelier, really great couches, beautiful finishings everywhere, the art everywhere, all this kind of stuff. And in fact, even if you look behind you here, there's this, you know, really lovely sculpture. Looks a lot like Australia to me. That's what I see when I see it. Each to their own. But by the same token, you've got these like really thin panel walls and engineered floating floors as opposed to hardwood, which dips in places, you know? So you walk around, it dips in places. And as you walk around the whole entire resort, you notice a bit of this. There's a little bit of like shingles falling off the roof, and you know, the steps next to the main, there's a staircase that goes up next to the main restaurant. I walked up it, and there's a fair few steps that were completely loose. There's tiles in the pool which are like off skew. It's weird. It's like this. It's luxury, and it's awesome. But then there's these little weird blemishes everywhere. I don't know. Maybe it's the brand. Maybe that's what they're going for. It's kind of like rustic luxury. I don't know. Let's have a look through here. So you got this connecting room. I don't know if these were originally two separate villas potentially, and they've joined them together, because this is pretty typical design in this room of the other beach villas that I've experienced. But if you come through here, this beautiful high ceiling with these amazing curtains that are all remote controlled. So you push a button and they just go bzzz, and just close in and close out like this. It's beautiful. Couple of nice big beds in here. It's my daughter's birthday today, and they've dressed it all up. We just got back here from a snorkeling trip, and they've done a nice little happy birthday thing here. I love this, what they do with the leaves and the reeds, and they just love it. Now this is the third bed. My 8-year-old only fits in it just, and it's the couch. There's not a mattress. So considering all the space, they really should step it up to roll-ins, like just a roll-in proper mattress on a proper bed. But yeah, my 8-year-old only just fit in it, and it's not the world's most comfortable place to sleep. The beds themselves are fantastic, but this seems to me to be unnecessary considering the amount of space. I did want to bring your attention to this over here. Again, kind of talks to my point about it being this amazing sense of luxury, but at the same time, just jaw-dropping things. If you have a look over here, so that's fully closed right now. And can you see, you can probably see like there's actually a huge gap all the way down, and all the doors are like this, especially around the lock, right? So you can't actually seal it. That's as sealed as it gets the whole way around, and it's even up here, and not so much on these doors, but on the doors in the other room, it's also a big gap here as well. I was initially very worried about mosquitoes being an issue getting in here. We haven't really encountered too many problems with mosquitoes getting in, but obviously the noise gets in, and most of the time that's lapping waves. It's beautiful, but as I'll go to in a little sec, where this particular room is, there's been other noises we've had to deal with. So it's a bit weird to me that it doesn't seal, and I think my guess is that it's because they've built it all out of this kind of wood that is really susceptible to expansion and in the water and the moisture, and it just doesn't close anymore. But none of them do, so a bit weird. All the blinds are automatic. Another TV in this room, another large size TV in this room, including built-in speaker, so that's good. It's such a distant space as well that the kids have been able to kind of have their own little world. They've even got their own little butler pantry as well. So I'll take you upstairs to the master suite. Oh, actually no, I forgot. Before we do that, the bathroom, amazing bathroom. So look at this. Isn't this great? So the bathrooms are particularly nice. So as you can probably see, and I'll show you upstairs as well, have a look in here, you'll see they've done a happy birthday in the bathtub as well, which is really, really lovely. So this is not the main bathroom, believe it or not. So his and hers effectively, space for basin, everything you require is provisioned for you, obviously. You've got a shower space over here and a toilet space behind you with exactly the same design. So you can talk about this thick black metal with the glass. I love the glass. I'm not so cool on the big black thick metal. It's just not my personal taste. But Rainmaker in there as well as a hand shower, and that's going to give you a lot of good pressure as well. So you're going to be able to see, you can feel a lot of that pressure in there. And big nice open room that goes right up to a kind of a skylight. I really love this as well. I'll take you upstairs, got an even nicer one upstairs. Big bath, everything you could dream of. And there's an outdoor shower on the bottom level as well, which you can access through a side door here. Now, I love that there's an outdoor shower. I use it all the time. I probably use it more than the indoor shower, to be honest. It's just a bit of a shame that it's only at the back, because you need it out the front. That's where you're swimming in the pool, that's where you're coming in off the beach, that's where you're getting the sand on your feet, that's where you want to rinse off just quickly and go inside the house, but instead you've got to trek around, come in here, do it here, then trek back around, especially if these doors are all locked up and closed. So I do wish they'd just put one shower up the front as well, but it's awesome that they have the space. Okay, so yeah, bathrooms are really nice, stone all the way up the walls as well, which is great. All right, let's have a look upstairs. So as you can see, big place. Cool towels. So there's a storage space underneath the stairs, which is kind of handy to get bags and stuff out of the way. And you got this big kind of staircase that comes up, which is really opulent and lovely, but as I was saying, it's kind of got this weird panel material. It's obviously a look. It hasn't been sealed on the sides. It's just curious, yeah. My first St Regis experience. I don't know if this is typical of the brand, but I do like the chandelier. And so up here it's really lovely. So this is the master. So you kind of got your own, another little butler's pantry over here, all your bits and pieces. And if you come through, beautiful, beautiful master. Bright, vibrant, follows the same kind of decor. Still iPad controlled, but what a beautiful space. Like I said before, the bed's incredibly comfortable. Again, I've noticed this in a few places right now. Very, very nice pillows, but only the two versions of the same variant. They're both pretty much just soft medium. So you kind of like have to work around that a little bit. Big cool TV with a sound system built in, so it's a third TV in this particular apartment. Lovely top little villa here. Oh, sorry, top balcony, looking out over the ocean. Good view. I think that's pretty decent view for a beach villa. And this is kind of sunrise facing, so it's been quite nice in the mornings. Little bit of shelter. It does definitely feel private. But I'll take you down to the beach in a second. There's positives and negatives to this particular location on the island. I really like this little visual they've got going on over here. Very nice. And again, more sculptures, more little places, sitting nooks, just so much space and lovely little details everywhere. Just a very specific type of flavour. And through here, we've got pretty decent walk-in wardrobe with enough space for a couple to kind of sell out on both sides. And through here, an even more opulent bathroom for the main, following a very similar visual pattern to downstairs and the rest of the villas in the location. If you come through all the way through, you'll see nice big beautiful bathtub, all the amenities that you could wish for, large basins, mirrors, lights. I love this the kind of sunken chandelier effect they've got going up here. It's fantastic, really nice. And that kind of same kind of glass see-through build on both the shower and the toilet, which is kind of cool and nice, but by the same token, it does mean that there's no privacy if you want to go to the toilet and someone else is in the room, brushing their teeth or doing whatever. Now out here there's this balcony which doesn't seem to serve much of a purpose. You can't look out anywhere. There's an outdoor shower out here. I'm not really sure what it's for or what it was originally used for, other than the fact that you can open it up and have this kind of breezy space into if you want to have a nice long cool bathroom. All right, so let's have a quick look downstairs at the backyard. I mean, it's been fantastic staying here. It's been really good with the kids. We've got two very distinct spaces. It's been allowed us to put them to bed and for them to be able to kind of go to sleep while we're stayed up and watched a bit of TV or talked or done a bit of work, whatever we've had to do. I love this as well. It's beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful feel. Okay, and I'll just take you out the front. So again here you'll see that this doesn't close fully, and you can probably, if you look down there as well to the side, you'll see it's just not sealed. Yeah, I feel like they just went with the wrong material here. They probably should have gone for metal. And out here, it's a particularly nice day today as well. You've got this fantastic pool, huge pool. Like you can do laps in that. Really, really nice. Plentiful amount of very soft cushioned sun lounges for everyone to hang out on. There's actually down here as well, there's a spa. So you can push a button and get a whole bunch of bubbles in there. And it's all tiled as well, which is primo. Very nice, they've done a fantastic job out here. It's a lovely place to be. And if we walk down past all my wet costumes, like I said, we just went down to snorkel because the house reef is really good. Saw some big sharks, some devil rays, and some big stingrays, and a huge barracuda came right up to us. It was awesome. Yeah, so lovely infinity pool. And then a little private beach. Now all of the beach villas, they all have their own little private beach. And the beach villa side at this particular time of year anyway, which is July, was sheltered from the wind and the waves. It's very, very nice. It obviously swings around seasonally. The family villas that are on the overwater side, they don't have much of a private beach, a little bit of sand on some of them. Other ones are just right directly over the water. But the main beach has plenty of sand anyway. This particular, the Knickerbocker, has heaps of space. But if you come down here, you've got the spa on that side, which has been perfectly fine. But over here, you've got the supply jetty. And if you come and have a look, over here you've got the supply jetty. So this is in the, I guess this is probably the south corner, the most south corner of the island. And they've got to have one, right? And it's a small island, but it happens to be kind of in the middle of, you know, the Knickerbocker, but also the family estates, which are just on the other side, the family villas. And there's been a fair bit of noise from there. And because the doors don't seal, you can really hear it inside. So like supply ships, revving their engines, the water sports is right there as well, jet ski repairs, all that kind of stuff. So, and that, yeah, so all of that kind of stuff's been going on just through here and making a bit of noise. So that's just something to consider, that you might want to maybe venture to the other side of the island. The overwaters are miles from here, so they're fine. All right, well, there we go. There's an exhaustive tour and a review of the Knickerbocker. Definitely a curious room, a curious stay, but the opulence and the experience overall has been really, really good. I just really wanted to throw this into the review. Apologies, I don't have my mic on me, but just been having breakfast at the St Regis, and I just enjoyed a really nice meal and a couple of mimosa, champagne and orange juices. And now I'm sitting here with the most spectacular view. Just feeling fantastic. And this is where this resort really shines right now. So good. So there we go, guys. That's my exhaustive tour of the St Regis Maldives Resort and my full review. Here I am standing in front of the Knickerbocker, which is one of the premium villas, but as I've gone through in this review, there's plenty of options beyond this one which might better fit you and your situation. My overall feeling with this resort is kind of, it's a bit, I don't know how to put it into words really, because it's there's so much to like about it. You know, it's like, it's very small, easy to get around, very private, it's very selective. Like there's only about 150 people here at the moment in the whole entire island, not including the staff. So it's very, very luxury in that regard. The St Regis brand obviously carries a lot of weight, and we see that in the architecture that we see around this place. We see it in the quality of the staff and how well that experience has been communicating with them, getting help when we needed it, talking to them. In the quality of the food. I love the whale bar. I love that open beach and that kind of beautiful opulent main restaurant and the way it all works in there. And so there's so much to like it. The house reef is excellent. Just being able to just like literally just swim 50 meters off here, and all of a sudden you're looking at sharks and stingrays and barracudas and all this incredible stuff that we've seen out there. So there's so many parts to it which are extremely easy to recommend. But there are negatives as well. You know, it's not a modern feel. It's a very kind of thick European, old school feel about the way that the decor has been done. The fact that you have to fly in here by seaplane is going to add an added cost to a lot of people. The fact that a lot of the places around here do need a bit of maintenance. There's little bits of work here and there. There's parts that you can know straight away, oh, this is getting a little bit, how you doing? It needs a bit of work. You have this extraordinarily luxury quality material on one side, and you look slightly to the side and it's like the direct opposite of that. That kind of interesting mix caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting probably that like super primo luxury finish the whole way through it. And it's not like that. It's kind of more like, so much of it is more about this little piece of paradise which you're just sharing with such a small group of people. More than it is just like next level finishes everywhere and next level quality to every single piece of the workmanship and the furnishings, because in places it just needs a bit of work. So yeah, it's kind of interesting in that regard, absolutely. Coming here with a family, look, we've had a really good time. There's a bunch of families on the island at the same time we are. Not too many English speaking kids, unfortunately, so our kids have struggled to kind of gel. The kids club has plenty to do, but it's designed in a way that's, it's not form over function, but it's not like, there's not zip lines and waterworks and all that kind of stuff going on. It's a bit more like hands-on and creative and explorative and stuff like that. So again, not a pro, not a con, just what type of experience are you looking for. The fact that the island's so small, it's really easy for the kids to get places. That main beach with the hammocks and the big infinity pool and the waves lapping in and the house reef right there definitely helps make it excellent for kids. And we've all had a really, really good time here, there's no doubt about it. And it was nice that for my daughter's birthday, they did a couple of little special things as well to make her feel like it was a great day for her as well. So definitely, I think that you're fine here as a family. I think because of how intimate it is, and the fact that it's a natural island as well helps with that, because this growth that you get on this natural island adds an extra element of coolness. It doesn't get as hot on the inside, which allows for more activity. There's the tennis court, there's the ping pong tables, pool tables, there's lots of little things to do and you don't have to go miles to get to it. So that's definitely a positive as well. So yeah, definitely enjoyed my time at St Regis in the Maldives. Is it exactly what I expected? It's not, as I've gone through, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been a wonderful experience. So there you go, that's my exhaustive tour of the St Regis Maldives and my review. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you keep an eye on the channel because I am doing a review of 8 different resorts on this trip. So there's going to be lots of comparison points and lots of things to consider because they all seem to offer something quite special and quite unique, which is great. So check those out. Until next time, get back on the road. Yew.